Let's go ahead and play this video in real time.
I think this is one of the saddest days in modern American history. This is the largest withdrawal and ending of healthcare in American history. 17 million people in our country, 17 million Americans in our country are going to lose their Medicaid. They're going to lose their ACA insurance. Small business owners are going to have their healthcare costs skyrocket, and people are going to have their SNAP and WIC cut back. People are going to go hungry. People are going to get sick on a scale unlike anything we've ever seen. And all of it is just to finance tax cuts for billionaires and the wealthiest corporations who don't even need it. I don't think we have ever seen or are prepared for how catastrophic this is set to be for a lot of people. And I think it's devastating. And they're talking about this as though it's some tax cut. Even the stuff that they're talking about, taxes on tips, no tax on tips, that's only for people, that's only up to $25,000. And if you're making less than that, you're already kind of exempt from a lot of these things in the first place. So they're giving people crumbs and they're taking away the whole loaf. And it's just a genuinely really sad day for our country.
What about Leader Jeffrey's final message, looking ahead to 2026, 2028?
Well, to Leader Jeffries' message, he's right. The best thing that we can do right now is press on. And in order for us to salvage what we have and to build through, we have to chart a new course and a new path to our future. And we have to make sure that there are consequences. If you're on Medicaid, if you're on ACA, if you are on Medicare and rely on Medicaid to help with your long-term care, there has to be consequences to these votes. And we have to decide if this is just a joke or just for TV or if this is our real lives. And I hope people vote like it's our real lives.
Well, unfortunately, AOC, you guys actually had a golden opportunity when Biden was still president to actually do the right thing, to which, again, a lot of Democrats didn't do the right thing at all. And, I'm not really expecting much from the Democrats at this point in time. I mean, they've already shown just how incompetent they truly can be when given the chance not to step up, because they're protected by people who will carry water for them. I mean, this is a prime example of, once again, Democrats showing just how shocked and outraged they are. But as I brought up on Matt Weinglass's show yesterday, and that is, the Republicans will probably suffer during the 2026 midterm election cycle because a lot of people are being suckered in by the Fight the Oligarchy tour, or either that they think there's a chance to reform the Democrat Party due to Zohran Mamdani winning the primary. But you can't reform a sick party, because even if the Democrats were to win maybe enough seats in the House or get a supermajority, or dare I say, maybe even potentially get half the seats in the Senate or majority of seats in the Senate, they are not going to reverse the big, beautiful bill. They won't be able to do it because they can't. They'll just be running on the hopium, copium, propanium, titanium idea that they can reverse it. And there'll be enough suckers, voters, that will think that that can be done. You're not going to vote your way out of this, unfortunately. And one of the issues here that I want to bring up, you got Bernie Sanders now saying every Republican who backed the Trump GOP budget must pay a price at the ballot box, which they will. And it's going to most likely be that Republicans will lose the 2026 election cycle. And in turn, the Democrats come in. And you know what? They're also going to be running on impeaching Trump, of course. As communities across the United States brace for impact after Congressional Republicans approved the biggest Medicaid and nutrition assistance cuts in the nation's history, Senator Bernie Sanders said Thursday that every lawmaker who supported the budget legislation must pay a price at the ballot box in the 2026 midterms and beyond. This bill includes the largest cut to Medicaid in order to pay for the largest tax break for billionaires that we have ever seen, said Sanders, who is working to recruit progressive candidates for office. Oh, yeah, that's going to go well. And said after the House passed the legislation, sending it to President Donald Trump's desk, which he is going to sign. Which, by the way, how is Trump going to be excited about this? Well, I'm not saying that we're living in idiocracy, but we kind of are. But whatever. I'm not surprised by this. But hey, Trump, what's going to happen?
We're going to have a UFC fight. We're going to have a UFC fight. Think of this, on the grounds of the White House. We have a lot of land there. We're going to build we're not Dana's going to do it. Dana's great, one of a kind. Going to have a UFC fight, championship fight, full fight, like 20, 25,000 people. And we're going to do that as part of 250 also. We're going to have some incredible events, some professional events, some amateur events. But the UFC fight's going to be a big deal too. And
great, we're going to have a UFC fight. I mean, whatever. At this point, make no mistake about it, says Senator Bernie Sanders. This bill is a death sentence for working class and low-income Americans, while some GOP lawmakers in the House and Senate voiced concerns about the bill's massive cuts to Medicaid and other programs like Medicare, Social Security Disability Insurance, SNAPs, all that good jazz. As the measure moved through Congress, the legislation ultimately garnered a near unanimous support from the Republican caucus when it came time for the final votes. Just 3 out of 53 Republican senators and 2 out of the 220 GOP representatives voted against the completed bill. Analysts and advocates expect the legislation to inflict major damage across the country, shuttering rural hospitals, stripping health coverage and food aid from millions, raising the cost of Medicare recipients, and devastating local economies. Some of the pain will be connected in swing districts currently represented by Republican supporters of the budget package. For example, 64% of David Valdo's Republican constituents in California's 2nd Congressional District rely on Medicaid. Valdo is one of 10 Republicans targeted by an ad to push that the advocacy group Protect Our Care launched following Thursday's vote in the House. The other targeted lawmakers are Representative David Schwerk, Young Kim, Ken Calvert, Nick LaLota, Andrew Garbino, Mike Lawler, Ryan McKenzie, Rob Bershan, and Dan Newhouse. There you go. Brand Woodhouse, president of Protect Our Care, said in a statement that these Republicans just voted for the largest healthcare cuts in history in order to fund tax breaks for billionaires and big corporations, and we're going to make sure that every single one of their constituents knows about it. So here's like one of their commercials. Prepare yourselves.
Republicans in Congress promised not to cut Medicaid, but then
the bill is passed.
It's the biggest cut to Medicaid in history, and Congressman David Valadao just voted for it. More than 13 million Americans could lose health care. Seniors, veterans, and children with disabilities. Why'd he do it? To give another huge tax break to billionaires and big corporations. Tell Congressman Valadao we can't afford to have our health care taken away. Not now, not ever. Republicans in...
Yep, and so that's what's happening. That's what's happening. So, I do want to pull this up here as well, because Representative Thomas Massie has been one of the unsung heroes. Now, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of things he'll disagree with us on. I'm sure of it. 100% there's a lot. But he has been consistent about how this entire bill is going to add more to the deficit, how it's going to be hurting more Americans, and also how all of us are going to be struggling day in, day out. And of course, he did write this recently on social media. I think it's very apropos, especially in this day and age where we do need courage. Sarah Brown says Massie is my congressman and his seat is safe. We love him here in Kentucky. That's very good. Jacqueline Jack H. How many people in the U.S. are thinking what health care? Well, there are those who are thinking what health care, and then there are those that still have health care and wondering, oh no, I could lose it all. And Mastermind Hour says Trump thinks Idiocracy is an instructional video. Yes, and also Sarah Brown says Massie's a true independent. He just knows better than to run as one in Kentucky. You know, that's the thing. I mean, ideally it would be good, but obviously there must be a lot of things that are stopping him from running as a full-on independent. I think, you know, I could give my opinion. I think, you know, if he separates himself from the Republican Party, I mean, already there's one person who's trying to censure Representative Thomas Massie in the Kentucky GOP, but I don't think they'll be that successful in doing so. So, yes, folks. We also got Public Domain who says, put me in a cage, please. No, you're not going in a cage, though. But I will give these words from Representative Thomas Massie, though, who has written, oh, to have this kind of spirit and bravery in Congress again. Happy Independence Day. And, of course, Trump will be signing the big, so huge and in your face, beautiful bill. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. That's what's going to happen. So he's going to be signing the big, beautiful bill, and Bernie and AOC are just going to be sitting here saying, oh, no, when they could have done something to stop this a long time ago under the Biden-Harris administration. My goodness, if there was actually forced to vote. My goodness, if they actually stood in solidarity with the March for Medicare for All. My goodness, if they actually stood with progressives and actually maybe held Biden's feet to the fire. By the way, again, I just don't see any actions being done by the Democrats until there's not a Democrat in office. Now I guess it's okay for them to do the la resistance. I guess it's okay for them now to be part of that existing squad to fight back. Isn't that something? Like, now they have the balls to fight back. And gee, where was this action, fire, and fury so many years ago? Where was this fire and fury when, progressives needed it? Nowhere to be seen. Nowhere to be seen, heard, spoke about, talked about, all that good jazz. So everybody, in real time, Democrats now want to show the resistance. The Republicans signed for the absolute cutting of Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, SSDI, SNAP, and other social safety nets. Isn't that beautiful? Our wonderful politicians, they seem to care about us all the time and yet do nothing, right? This is an abusive relationship, folks. I don't know what else to call it, but this is abuse of the highest order.